Hello everyone, my name is LunArx and welcome to Celeste. This is currently my absolute favorite video game. I have put between my computer and my Switch probably at least 200 hours into this game. I've just played it over and over again because it's so much fun. But one thing that I haven't done too much of is delve into the mods of this game. The developers of this game are very strong supporters of their mod community, and a lot of community content has been made. One in particular is something that I've been interested in playing for a very long time. I started it a long time ago and I didn't get very far into it. It is going to be mostly blind. It is a mod called Glyph, and I don't know exactly how long this is. I believe there are separate chapters within Glyph. And it also has B-sides, so there's a lot to it. It also has its own original soundtrack. So if you've heard me gush about the Calamity mod for Terraria, you know that I love it when mods have their own original soundtracks. Now the Glyph mod is supposed to be very difficult. It's about the same difficulty level as the Chapter 9 DLC of Celeste. Chapter 9 is notoriously difficult, but it's also incredibly well designed and very, very fun. If you've played all of the content of Celeste up to the Chapter 9 DLC, you will be able to complete the Chapter 9 DLC. It's quite the challenge though. And that's about the experience level and tech level that I am with Celeste. You don't need to learn any moves other than what is introduced in the main game and Chapter 9 for Glyph. I don't need to do any super advanced speedrun tech, which is good because I don't know how to do any of it except what was introduced in the base game. Anyway, I'm gonna get started here. Let us try Glyph. Just kind of start off here. Symbols. Now, I understand there is optional content in this mod as well, including a bunch of strawberries. I don't know if I'm going to be getting all of the strawberries. I just want to play through the mod to say that I have. Perhaps I'll go back through and get any strawberries that I've missed. I've also heard that there is some optional puzzle that is kind of difficult to figure out, so I don't know if I'm going to do anything with that. I don't know if these symbols have anything to do with that. I feel like I should write this down, but I am not going to. There's a tree. There was a tree. I love how solemn it feels. It sounds. The grayscale visuals. I'm going to be using advanced tech, such as wall bounces and wave dashes, and I'm not necessarily going to explain them to you when I use them. Although already it looks like we got some complicated business. I understand the other Let's Play series on my channel right now is a mod of an indie game, an expansive mod with its own soundtrack. I didn't set out for this to be my niche, but if this is what it turns into, that's not a bad thing. Okay, this looks like visuals from Chapter 7 Seaside in the beginning of Farewell. Here we got the tree. What way am I supposed to go? I don't know. Okay, right off the bat, multiple choices. I'm gonna go where the book was. Okay, that symbol was one of the symbols on the original piece of paper. I don't know what the rest of this means. It's some kind of code or map. I don't think it's a map. Maybe it is. A coded map. I don't know. This looks like just nothing. First death! I wanted to make sure the audio was fine so that it doesn't overpower me, but I think I might actually turn it up a little bit. Especially when the audio is so soft as it currently is. I wonder if I can get up there. It's kind of designed so that you can't grab onto that with that spike hitbox. This mod has been extremely well received. It's very beloved. It is potentially the most well-known mod, although recently Strawberry Jam just came out, which is a big compilation of community mods. I haven't touched that at all, but that seems to be what a lot of people who play mods are playing right now, which makes sense. It's a bunch of content released all at once. Here is this mess again. I don't know what this means. I don't know if I will learn what it means. I don't know if I have to learn what it means. I hope I don't have to. Okay. Pretty simple. Alright, I see what we have to do here. Ah! Gotta do a wall bounce off the ice, let go of that. There we go. Hold on. Any kind of sorry. Any kind of strawberry or anything up here? Not that I can find. Oh, here's something. Alright, and we have the double crystals from Chapter 9. Okay, how do I want to do this? This is already quite the interesting situation here. Okay, I can't grab onto that. I need to remember that. First time through any Celeste content, it's expected to get 1 million deaths. So I'm probably going to end up cutting a fair amount of them out in the long run. How did I get that right at the beginning? And now I'm failing. That's such a Celeste thing. As you try something over and over again, you develop a muscle memory, but if you do it slightly off, then your muscle memory keeps doing the wrong thing over and over again. Oof. Alright. I assume we have to go further to the left. This split in the spikes that goes up. Yeah, it doesn't look like you can do anything there. I don't think. Almost. Wait, is there a... No, there's no look finder. jump, and then dash up and dash diagonal up left. But I can't seem to land that jump. Very beginning of the game, already struggling with a strawberry before an actual, main challenge. There we go, finally got there. Almost. Again, almost. I'm just not landing it quite right. Ah, so close. As a note, I haven't played this game all that recently. I never go too long without playing it though, so it's not like I'm completely without practice. Honestly, just last month I was at my friend's bachelor party and he has a Switch hooked up to a projector. And nobody was using it, so I put my own Switch in there and I just played Chapter 9 a fair ways into it for whoever felt like watching me while other stuff was going on. First strawberry! Hurrah! What do we have going on here? Oh, did I fall back down through there? Huh. So that's what that was. What is this? Huh. Do I jump over here and then wall bounce? Ooh, that might be it. It might be difficult to pull off, though. So the first time that I played Celeste, it didn't immediately become my favorite video game. I absolutely loved it. And when the Chapter 9 DLC came out, it again didn't immediately make it become my favorite video game. It was after I completed Chapter 9 and I was listening on my own time to the Chapter 9 farewell soundtrack that I had a moment of going, hey, I think this is my favorite video game now. I love the story of the main game. I love the character of Madeline and the other characters who are introduced. And I love the story of Chapter 9 and the soundtrack of the base game, the B-sides, and Chapter 9, all incredible. Shout out to Lena Raine, the composer of Celeste, and shout out to the other members of XOK Games. Before Celeste was my favorite game, my favorite video game was tied... Oh, wow, I need to drop down fast. My favorite video game was tied between two games. One was Bastion by Supergiant Games. I still love that company so much. Their most recent game, Hades, is top tier. All of their games are top tier, but Hades is something else. It says something that Bastion used to be tied for my favorite game of all time, but I feel like Hades is that developer's magnum opus. That says something about Hades. The other game that was tied for my favorite video game it was another game by the writer and level designer of Celeste, Matty Thorson. Back in 2007, they released a Metroidvania called An Untitled Story. It was very simple. The visuals almost looked like they were drawn by a 5-year-old. But it is, in my opinion, the quintessential Metroidvania experience. And I know the irony of saying that. You would think, isn't the quintessential Metroidvania experience Metroid or Castlevania? But I think there is no better representative of the genre than an Untitled Story. And it's such a niche game that almost nobody's heard of, but within the community that has heard of it, it has a strong cult following. And it's honestly the reason why it's the reason why I've continued to follow Maddie Thorson's career. Even though I played her other games at the time and I liked them, an Untitled Story was the one that was like, this is truly an incredible game designer who knows exactly what they're doing. So when Maddie released Towerfall, I played the heck out of it, not just multiplayer with friends as it was originally designed, but all the single player like campaign or quest modes. I played that to heck. It's so much fun. They're just such an incredible game designer. And Celeste is great because Maddie Thorson, aside from, well, I guess even including an Untitled Story, although it's kind of different, Maddie Thorson originated by making tough-as-nails platformers, specifically but not limited to a series called Jumper. So, after Towerfall and their next game was announced to be this game, Celeste, it was really cool to see sort of a modern, like with a budget, with actual visual designers, like graphics artists, and actual like professionally done music, to see like the modern iteration of Maddie Thorson making that kind of tough as nails platformer with double jumps and wall bounces or wall jumps and whatnot. It was really cool to anticipate what it would be like, and when the game came out, it was absolutely fantastic. It blew up and was insanely successful. Probably one of the more successful indie games that have come out, and it's given the studio a budget to first of all become their own studio. The team that made this very small team that made this game, but to essentially continue making games at their own leisure without having to worry about, crunch time, deadlines, anything like that. They're set because of how successful Celeste was. Goodness, I can't I just can't get this. Because of how successful Celeste was, they're able to make games at their own pace, and the game that they're working on now looks really cool. It's been in development for a long time, and I essentially trust anything that these people put out. Maddie and Noel and Kevin and Amora and Pedro, and there's one other person at least that I've forgotten, and Lena. Just this small group of people. Oh, and Chevy Ray Johnson is on the team now too. Chevy made an RPG that I absolutely love called Ikenfell, and it's a really good game, and I recommend it to anyone who loves RPGs and many people who don't, because I don't like a lot of RPGs, but it has intuitive combat. Interesting. I was thinking I had to latch onto the side of that block down there. I think I just have to land on it and then duck underneath the spikes. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to complete the second half of the room. Ikenfell is an incredible game with incredible music. The composer of Steven Universe did the music for that game. The characters are fantastic. It's super queer, which is super cool. And it's, for something that has so many queer characters, it is so well done. It never makes it about the fact that they're queer, they just are queer. It's just really well done. I should focus on seeing if I can figure out how to get this well balanced. Can I? If I wave dash while bounced, does that? I seem to get the right amount of height. If I can just pull it off. The long and short of it is, I love indie games, essentially. Indie games that are super well designed, have incredible music, and have incredible story and characters. I swear the more I try this, the worse I get at it. The tragedy of playing a platformer. But I'm right at the beginning of the game. I can't take a break yet. I gotta get somewhere first. Not there. That's not where I have to get. Ah, so close. Hey, could you, developer, could you move the hitbox of that key down just a tad, just a tiny amount, please? Would be well appreciated. Oh, I don't think I have to hold down. I just have to fall straight down. If I can just land it. Literally. Did you see that? What is that hitbox? Come on now. Ah! I'm just thinking about how speedrunners probably would come in here and do this their first try. Someone like TGH. I may have completed Chapter 9 in less than 50 minutes once, but I could not speedrun this game. I think it's funny that this is like the first real room in the game and I'm already stumped. I'm using a PlayStation controller because while I use an analog stick to play this game, if I want the precision of a D-pad, the only controller that I have with a good D-pad is a PlayStation 4 controller or of course a Nintendo Joy-Con. I need separate buttons for a D-pad. Like an Xbox 360 D-pad or a Nintendo Pro controller D-pad, they suck. I don't understand how people can actually play precise games with them. So that's why I'm using a PS4 controller. However, I've played Celeste a lot on my... Oh, come on! I've played Celeste on my Switch a lot, and I use my Pro controller. And as I said, it's usually fine because I typically use an analog stick. But I might want to consider, even though this is on PC, I might want to consider using my Pro controller just because I have more experience with it. Come on, it's so close. So doing a wave dash can be easier with a D-pad, but I think pulling off the wall bounce might be easier if I use an analog stick. I hate everything. So, welcome back. I think this is where I'm going to end it. This was quite the experience. This is the 4th place session now. I spent so long on this room convinced that I was doing it the correct way and that the correct way was brutal and unfair. Oh, bother. I had a strongly worded message written to the developer of this mod. But it was my fault for not experimenting enough. I still don't think that this room is without criticism. I've been playing a lot of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom recently, and that game offers a million solutions to every problem. So when the intended way doesn't work, I can find some other convoluted way to make it work. I'm not saying every game should be like that, because that is incredibly difficult to pull off. But that's where I'm coming from in playing this mod at the moment. So I should have been able to figure out that I was doing it wrong, but it felt like it was possible the way that I was doing it. And for that reason, the fact that the way that I was doing it could get me to touching a significant portion of the key but not activating it, that felt... it didn't feel good in terms of design. I feel like, to be completely honest, the hitbox of that key should be changed to be lower. In case someone tries to do it the more difficult way, it is slightly more possible without having to rethink everything that you're doing. Again, this is a minor criticism. It's just I've seen a whole lot of praise for this mod and how well designed it is. And when I have two very high things to compare it to at the moment, one is another video game that I'm playing, and one is the base game of Celeste, which always emphasizes that something is possible over how difficult it is. So even when something is ridiculously difficult, it never feels like it's impossible. And there are even times that the game actually feels like it's a little bit lenient, just a tad lenient in this major difficult problem set before you. If you get all the way through and then one little part feels unfair, that is just heart-wrenching. But if you get all the way through and this one part that seems like it should be super difficult is actually slightly easier and helps you through it, then that feels really good. I don't know how well I described that. I have a lot of good things to say about the level design in Celeste as a whole. Anyway, I'm the fool here. The developer is not the fool here. It is entirely me. But I was almost thinking that this wasn't possible for me to achieve. I was thinking that maybe because I use an analog stick and people who use a keyboard or a D-pad have this ever so slight advantage of precision. Because, as I've said before, I completed Chapter 9. I've done it many times. I replay it for fun. And this was so brutal, just a couple screens in. I thought there had to be something wrong, and there was. It was me. Rip. And I knew I had done this before. When I stopped before, I stopped because I was struggling with a strawberry when I played this years ago. And it wasn't that first strawberry. So here's hoping that the rest of this mod goes better than that. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm gonna try this really quick. Ooh, this looks fun. See, it actually looks fun when it seems possible. I almost got this. I think I'm gonna try and beat this room before ending, just so that I can have some semblance of a victory. No! And here we go. No nice and tidy stopping point, because this has gone on long enough, but hopefully next time we can make some real progress, and we can start the mod for real. I'm so sorry. See you later, everyone.